Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the Ahead at the Apex podcast. I am Josh, I'm your host, and I'm joined today by Tim. Say hi, Tim.
Hello, hello.
And today we are going to focus on 3 sports.
We're covering it all. I think this is our densest episode thus far, and probably for a little bit longer because a lot has happened since we last spoke.
And it feels like we have prepped the most for this episode, and yet I also feel the most underprepared. So Let's see how this goes. We are trialing this week a timestamp in the discussion of the episode or below the episode or in the little description box. So if you're not interested, we understand. We're a little bit disappointed. But if you're not interested in some of these sports, then check that out and then you can skip to the bits that you want to know about. But the idea is that we are complete novices in some of these sports and we are taking a wide look at it. Is that a fair description?
Yeah, definitely. The whole point is providing a accessible platform for people that don't know certain sports. I think WEC is probably the least familiar to most people.
Yep.
And giving enough information that people feel comfortable to watch it and learn a little bit more and understand a bit what's going on. So hopefully that comes through and you guys start to love these series that you're not super familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely. I would not describe myself as a WEC fan. I don't think I've delved enough into it, but the more I delve into it, the more I'm becoming interested.
Sure.
I think that's
as I think happens with all of these sports.
Yeah, I'm a motorsport fan, so
exactly
delving into it, I suddenly become way more interested in it than it's just something that happens once a year when they race around Le Mans.
Yeah. Much bigger than that. Hopefully
we give you that, but if not, check out the description and we will let you know where the sports you care about are.
Let's roll. So I think, speaking of WEC, let's start there.
Yeah.
We didn't touch on them last week because there wasn't one. They obviously race far less frequently than the other 2 series that we cover. But we did have a WEC race in between our last recording. So they were at Imola, the 6 hours of Imola, taking place 18th to the 20th of April over Easter weekend. And it's the second race of the season. So they had one first, which is in Qatar, which we spoke about in episode 1.
Yep. So the difference here was that this was a timed race, not a distance race.
Correct.
And obviously Qatar is huge as a track layout and Imola is tiny.
Yes.
So
very different circuits.
Very different conditions, very different circuit, very different to the other races on the calendar as well, I would think.
Definitely. And interestingly, so Ferrari crushed it last time out. They had they had a 3 lockout, winning first, second, third. This has only happened one other time, which was back in 1972, and it was in Austria. There's quite a famous name to our F1 fans that was driving in that team. Do you have a guess?
Do I have a guess?
Do you have a guess?
I'm afraid I know the answer.
Well, you've looked at the document.
I've looked at our sheet, yeah.
But it was Helmut Marko. Dr. Helmut Marko.
I'm surprised you say Dr. Helmut Marko is the famous F1 name in that list because you started that list with Jackie Ickx.
Yeah, okay. I think Helmut Marko, my point being, he's a more recognizable name to people that are in the sport now.
Now, yeah, correct.
But of course, again, Jackie Ickx.
But of course, I'm 1,000 years old, so I know
as
who Jackie Ickx
is. Yeah. But yeah, so the only time that other happened was racing in 312 PBs. So following that success, they take the maximum 66 points from Qatar.
Yep.
They come into Imola with a 31-point lead in the championship, second to BMW, who themselves are putting quite a bit of pressure on this race because they had a poor result 2024, where they had they lined up 1, 2, 3, and they didn't even hit the podium come the end of the race.
Right.
So they're eager to perform to rectify that, and again needing to close this gap, which is looking a bit scary.
Yeah, and Ferrari are having a good run of form.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think it's fair to say. I mean, Le Mans last year alone is the one race everybody wants to win, and they are killing it. So. This is the thing I love about WEC. You just said Ferrari are leading from BMW. How cool is that? Just two huge manufacturers that you just don't see. That's like old school Formula One to me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, Lexus are racing and...
Yeah, Lexus, Mercedes, Porsche,
Everyone.
Toyota, everybody's in it. Yeah, it's
all
great.
of them are in it. It is the constructors'
Yeah, more so than anything else.
title.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Porsche are another big name, which performed really poorly out in the first race in Qatar, finishing 10th and 11th, which was really shocking because 12 months earlier, they had 2 cars sat on the podium and, as we know, won last year. So was the start of a great season. And again, are keen to rectify their mistakes, recover to that form, and themselves said, this is looking like a better track layout for us, as you hinted at earlier.
Yeah. And when I think of WEC, I think of a few years ago when it was Porsche versus Toyota. That's the 2 names that stick out to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's disappointing to see them that far back.
So, free practice 1. Ferrari's come out strong, starts off a bit damp but dries off, and Robert Kubica led the way in his nice yellow Ferrari.
The AF Corsa Ferrari.
Indeed. Free practice 2, it gets spicy. So the Ferraris and the BMW are locked literally neck and neck.
Yeah.
They record dead same time.
That is something we don't see very often in any sport, really. But the last time that happened was in the 6 hours of Shanghai.
Yep, 2014. 2014.
Yep.
And then FP3 again steps up in spiciness one more time. 2 red flags, and Giovinazzi tops it, indicating, okay, Ferrari
have got the pace, yeah.
Ferrari have got the pace.
Yeah. I think he's found his sport as well.
Yeah, he's nailing it.
He is crushing it in the World Endurance Championship. Never really had the opportunity in F1, but definitely has found his, I guess where he's supposed to be, I think. And nice that he stayed with Ferrari.
Indeed, yeah, because he obviously went into the reserve driver spot for the year, and I think he wanted to do a bit of racing.
Yeah, of course.
So Gio maintains his perfect quali record, topping the timesheet and then increasing that to almost 8/10. And again, this is the Tifosi. They're out at Imola. He said, yeah, it's a super nice feeling to qualify in front of the Tifosi and sets up a really competitive run of form to carry into the race, which is nice. BMW then sit best of the rest, securing 3rd by 2/10. The other second Ferrari was in P2.
Yep. And the AF Corsa Ferrari, because of course the number 50 was stripped of their hyperpole position due to track limits.
Correct.
And that is arguably the most successful Ferrari car, the number 50.
Yeah, of the two.
That's the one that's been winning all the races lately. That's the one that's been leading the charge of the Ferrari banner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was quite surprising. So they had, as you say, track limits penalty, stuck at the back.
Yeah.
18th.
Yeah. Big job to do at a track that is hard to overtake because the hypercars are roughly the same size as Formula 1 cars. We know it's hard for them to overtake at Imola. Imola's a tight track, all that kind of thing. So, yeah, left themselves with quite a lot of work to do.
Indeed, but they did get on and start working. So in the first 75 minutes, so hour 15, they overtook 8 cars.
Yeah.
Both Aston Martins, the 99 Porsche, the 38 Cadillac, the 94 Peugeot, and both Porsches.
Yep.
And the number 20 BMW.
Kevin Magnussen's BMW.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Crushed it.
Absolutely nailed it.
Did not wait around at all.
No. And some of the overtakes that they managed to pull off, very impressive. Very tight circuit, massive cars, traffic in the way. That helps. Traffic in the way.
Yeah.
Often better to be the second car in that train. But yeah, very impressive nonetheless. Especially when your teammate is leading for the first 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just controlling the race before the first pit stop. Pulling away, right?
Yeah, looking very comfortable.
Yeah.
So knowing that you have to get to that point, the extra pressure comes in and they handled that brilliantly.
Yeah.
20 minutes go by. So by the hour and a half mark, there's a big relatively big incident between the 27 Aston and the 31 BMW, which brought out the safety car and, of course, compressed everything down, as the safety cars always do. And any advantage that was had or was
But it was about the right time for pit stops anyway. So
it forces an earlier pit stop.
Yeah, of course. And driver swap and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so the Toyotas also were starting to play a few games. They were running fourth and fifth. They invert those positions in order to try and take advantage of some of their tire strategy.
Yep.
And then, as all great races start, the rain comes down.
The rain comes down, yep. And just changes everything again.
So Ferrari going from really comfortable, safety car comes in, get really comfortable, get a bit more comfortable again because of their pace.
And then now the rain
comes down.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're in trouble, or Ferrari are in trouble.
Yeah. But they won the race.
They did, followed by the number 20 BMW, which was 8.5 seconds behind, and then the number 36 Alpine. Which
was Mick Schumacher's Alpine.
It was, finishing in 3.
Giovinazzi, Magnussen, and Schumacher on the podium.
Yeah. It was in a former F1 podium.
Well, it just goes to show the caliber, right? The caliber of talent that's in WEC.
212 laps as well.
Yes, a lot of laps.
A lot of laps. And I did a bit of maths.
Go on.
Here. So I took that 8.5 second gap.
Yeah.
If you divide that by the 212 laps.
Assuming no safety cars and whatever else. Yep.
You get a advantage of 0.04.
Which is minuscule.
Seconds per lap.
Which is minuscule. Which is MotoGP levels of consistency.
It is. Yeah. And this is the amazing thing. And again, anyone that's not super familiar with the sport, it's just epic to consider. That's your margin.
Yep.
You have to maintain that for 200 laps.
Yeah.
6 hours
6
de
hours.
facto.
200 laps round, what is it, Imola? 15 corners-ish?
Yeah.
It's a huge amount of precision driving and consistency, braking zones across 3 drivers.
Yeah.
In difficult conditions.
Yeah. Changing conditions.
Overtaking much slower cars because the LMG3
are also on track.
Cars are also on track at the same time as you. They're having their own battles. They're in the way. You've got the Astons who were 3 laps down on the hypercars. They're in the way. You've got the slower cars at the back. They're in the way. You've got crashes happening here, there, and everywhere. Also in the way. Debris on track. All of that stuff. So very impressive to be that consistent. And yeah, high caliber of driving. High caliber.
Yeah, absolutely epic race. And again, the Ferrari crews, for a lot of them, this is the first time they're sat on a podium in front of the Tifosi.
Well, this is the first time the number 51 has won on Italian soil.
Yes, exactly. And, they were all quoted to taking that in. Never stood on top of the podium. It's an emotional feeling, incredible feeling. All of the drivers were pumped. And they deserved it. They made the best out of every situation. They maximized the car. They maximized the positions that they were in the advantage that they had. And through changing conditions, adapted and nailed it.
Did Giovinazzi cross the line? Is Giovinazzi the one who took it to the end? Because I know they're all graded, right? So they have bronze, silver, and gold drivers, and they had to go in that order.
Yeah, so you have to maintain an order.
Yeah. So I know Schumacher crossed the line and Magnussen started the race, which I think is quite interesting that he's a bronze and Schumacher's a gold, but that's just my F1 side kicking in.
It's a different sport, man. It's a different sport.
But I'm not sure if Giovinazzi crossed the line. I know Collado started the race, so it wasn't. I don't know if Giovinazzi did the middle stint. I didn't pay much attention to who was driving it at the time.
I think he was too.
Okay. So Italian driver, Italian car, Italian race.
Perfect.
Crossing the line. Perfect. Giovinazzi's dreams come true.
Yes, finally.
So we also touched on there about the LMG3 cars, which they're obviously GT3 cars. They're also on there at the same time. They are significantly slower. So when I think of WEC, I think there's 3 categories, but that's only for Le Mans, if I'm not mistaken, because there's a special category for Le Mans only cars, right?
Yeah.
And also at Le Mans, you can run, there's a Garage X. Is it Garage X or Mystery Garage? Whatever. I remember a few years ago, Jenson Button was driving this Mustang that was like a test car that they wanted to run. And it was between the LMGT3 cars and the LM2 cars, which at the time was the middle category. So he just spent the entire 24 hours like with his team circling in the middle somewhere. But when I think of WEC, that's what I think of. There's 3 categories and whatever, but there's only 2 in the actual series, and the other category are only there for the extended races, of which Le Mans is part of that WEC championship.
Indeed.
So notable names in the LMGT3 category include Valentino Rossi, who secured his first WEC pole position by a third of a second, actually, in his BMW, which is obviously painted dark blue and bright yellow to match his old helmet.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Interesting. And labeled the 46 car. Yeah. Because why wouldn't it be? And he is their gold standard driver, I think. He was the last driver, or he definitely isn't the opening driver, but I think he was their last driver to race. So I think he was the gold driver.
He was, and we'll get on to why that mattered. But yeah, and again, similar story. Italian driver, first pole position. What a time to do it.
Yeah.
And again, quoted to say he was very happy, huge emotions. It's his home race.
Yeah.
Not just because it's in Italy. He lives a stone's throw out of Imola.
Yes, the Rossi Academy is not far from the Imola circuit.
No, so this is the time to do it. And he stepped up, as he's done many times before. It's not a controversial thing to say. Rossi has stepped up.
Yeah.
But it's the first time he's broken through in this series, which is obviously awesome. This is also where Lexus, we mentioned before, who a lot of people will be quite surprised to hear them in a motorsport context, but they're sitting quite strongly this year as well. They qualified P2 and continued to show their much improved form this year versus last. So it was the start of the LMGT3 race where Rossi's teammate, Al Harthy, had an earlier than planned second pit stop because of the safety car that we explained before.
Because it's a no-brainer. Those pit stops take so long that, of course, you're going to make it during a safety car at such a short race relatively for them.
Yes, for sure. Rossi then jumps in around the third hour and has a huge gap. Mm-hmm. He pulls a 32-second gap and completely exploits his pace.
Yep.
6 cars were handed penalties in the early stages, which is a lot. The 21 Ferrari, the 31 BMW, both the Mustangs, the 81 Corvette, and the 95 McLaren.
Yeah. But yeah, 6 cars handed penalties, and
the Aston retired.
The Aston retiring. So that was a huge crash.
Yeah.
Down into Ravazza 1.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Ravazza 1, the last 2 corners?
Yeah.
So yeah, Rossi pulling a gap when the rest of the field is absolutely falling apart and looking like he was going to get onto his first WEC win. But in the 5th hour, Tim, what happened?
So the 21 Ferrari pulled basically a Lightning McQueen move. Didn't pit, but only for fuel.
Yeah.
No tires. And took the lead.
Mm-hmm.
Rossi now chasing, does pit for tires. With that advantage, he does hunt down the Ferrari, but into the second Ravazza, makes contact. The Ferrari hits the gravel trap, and Rossi is penalized with a stop and go. Which
is a very harsh penalty, but it was a stupid move. I've seen that move from lots of different angles, and I don't know what he was doing. I genuinely don't.
It was bold. I think it was almost desperation, which felt strange because he did have the pace. He demonstrated the gap. It was snatching at something that.
But surely the run down into turn 1, get a better exit out of Ravazza, stick in the slipstream, try it up the inside into turn 1. We saw the hypercars make that move though. Like, we know there's space. Why is he trying to do it into the last corner? Which is, it's in those cars with minimal downforce. It is still a heavy braking zone, but it's not as heavy as turn 1. You've got way more opportunity at turn 1 to try and outbrake somebody and maneuver somebody, why are you trying it there? It does just feel like desperation. That obviously dropped him down to P2, behind the Porsche, number 92 Porsche, and ahead of the Lexus.
Yes.
So still on the podium.
That's how they finished.
Still on the podium, but not.
But ruining the chance.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But it's coming. This is only his 10th race.
It feels like it should be a lot more than that. But he did only retire from MotoGP 2 years ago.
Exactly. And there are only so many WEC races every year.
Yeah. So, 10th race in the championship, right? I'm sure he's competed in the extracurriculars.
This is his 10th race in WEC.
Yeah.
So it's coming.
It is coming.
But
he's also flying around all the bike races this year as well, which I think his schedule must be packed. Because obviously he owns a team.
Yeah.
And he was in Qatar for their race 2 weeks ago. And he was in Spain for their race this weekend. And somewhere in the middle of that, he flew back home. He just
happened to go to Italy, almost win his debut race.
And then
having put it on pole.
Yeah.
Yeah, mental. These guys
slowing down in his old age, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so speaking of Rossi and the bikes, let's move on to MotoGP. They are our sport that has had the most recent Grand Prix. Literally, checkered flag flew yesterday afternoon. We've managed to pull all this together within less than 24 hours, I think. Just time of recording.
It will show.
It won't show. We know we're professionals.
No, we're professionals.
We are professionals.
Exactly.
So, if you didn't watch the MotoGP race at the weekend, what else were you doing with your time? Because this had to be one of the most exciting bike races I have seen in multiple years. And it sounds boring because it was a Ducati who won the race and it was Marc Marquez who won the sprint. So on paper, it sounds boring. But for the first time in MotoGP history, Alex Marquez has won a race, a Grand Prix, and two brothers have now won MotoGP Grand Prix. So that's a new record. They're busy setting records all year round. It's honestly, Papa Marquez. What a job he's done. What a phenomenal father he is. So why was it good, Tim? Well,
why was it good?
Fabio Quartararo was in the mix. And that's surprising because he's riding a Yamaha, a factory Yamaha. And you do not expect in modern MotoGP at the moment, a factory Yamaha to be taking it to 6 Ducatis.
Yeah.
But he put it on pole and set a new lap record. It was the weekend of lap records.
Yeah, indeed.
So I can remember messaging you on Friday.
Yes.
With Alex Marquez sets new Jerez lap record. And you were like, wow, that is fair play. Here we go. He's in the mix. Come qualifying, brother Mark had enough of
all these headlines.
Because
it's
their home race, right? I mean, they have grandstands on the exit of turn 1 and turn 10. So Mark is the first corner and Alex is turn 10 or something. There's like a big 93 grandstand that was all red and a big 73 grandstand that was all blue and all that good stuff.
They were up for it.
They were up for it. So Mark couldn't take that Alex had set a new lap record. So his first lap in Q2 breaks the record by 3.5 tenths. But
not comfortable.
But that wasn't quite enough because along came Alex to set a faster lap. Along came Pecco Bagnaia to set a faster lap. Along came Mark to set an even faster lap. And then at the dying moment, like qualifying just crescendoed into this moment, Fabio Quartararo across the line, 1:35.6.
Bang.
Pole on a Yamaha. So Ducati. Mark has taken every single pole this year. Quartararo comes along.
That's
bam,
mine.
New lap record. I'll take it. And this is Yamaha's first pole for 3 years.
Wow.
This is Quartararo's first pole for 3 years because he was the last person who took pole position for Yamaha. It's the same track he took his maiden pole position at in 2019.
What a full circle moment.
I know. It was quite a very edge of seat kind of qualifying session to watch. Like usually with the qualifying on a Saturday afternoon, I have it on in the background. I'm maybe doing something else at the house, whatever. I could not take my eyes off it. It was just
glued.
lap after lap. And they were doing, multiple laps. It's not just like F1 where they go out, do one lap, come back in, sit around for 7 minutes, and then go back out again.
Yeah.
They go out, they do a push, they do a cool down, they do a push, they do a cool down. And they get to do 2 or 3 of those because the sessions are like 2 lots of 15 minutes rather than Q1, 2, 3, and you only have so many tires. The bikes that make it through to Q2, they have 2 or 3 sets of tires to use in quali, and they only have 15 minutes to do it. So they go out and get it done.
Yeah,
right?
Just go and shred these things.
Yeah, so Pecco Bagnaia, I did mention, he waited till the dying minutes to get his lap in because he had a huge crash in FP2. So he only had 1 bike ready, so couldn't afford any mistakes. But he did get a good lap in and made it 3rd on the grid behind Mark. Alex took 4th and Morbidelli 5th, if I'm not mistaken. So later on that afternoon, it was the sprint race. They get on with it fairly quickly. It feels a little bit backwards because you have it's always Moto3 open and then MotoGP finish. But after qualifying, it's straight into the sprint. The others just do the races. So we got Quartararo on pole. He's been quite good off the line this year, which is nice to see. A little bit of everybody hoping maybe he can do this.
Yeah. Well, it would have been a big ask, even though he's sat comfortable, but Mark has been so dominant and he has performed so well besides the incident in Texas. You just can't really count him out, even when he's sat. Well, he sat just behind, but he sat further behind. So off the line, Mark gets him.
And you think, it's over.
There we go. He's going to drive off as he always
does. Less than a corner. He saw his number on the grandstand ahead of him and just went for it.
Yeah, that's my corner.
Take this, Fabio. Yeah, straight up the inside.
But he doesn't give up. Nope. The Frenchman doesn't give up and almost immediately retakes
it. So turn 1, 2 is 2 90-degree-ish corners. So Mark goes up the inside. Fabio then dives up the inside into turn 2. Back in the lead.
Exactly. And they have quite a fierce battle. For the rest of that lap, into lap 2, they go side by side into turn 6. And unfortunately, his bike just dives.
So for people who don't have the tracks visualized in the back of their mind at all times and cannot close their eyes and see the racing line, is it just me? Okay. Turn 6 is after basically the biggest straight on the entire circuit. I mean, it's not a straight line, point, squirt kind of track. It is full of twists and bends. So turn 6 is a massive braking zone. Mark dived up the inside and it almost seemed like this wash of air just swept his bike out from underneath him. Goes down. There was only like 12 laps.
Yeah.
Calls it a day. Goes back on the little scooter of shame back to the pit lane.
I love the little scooter of shame.
I love it more in MotoGP because in qualifying, when they're really up against it, the MotoGP riders jump on the scooter and just whiz the marshal back to the pit lane at like crazy amount.
Because their adrenaline's just so pumped
and
up.
They're professional motorbike riders. They're not going to sit on the back seat and just all the way back to the pits. So that was kind of it. I mean, Mark went on to win the sprint. Shock. Alex in 2nd, Pecco in 3rd. The classic 2025 finishing position.
Yep.
But Quartararo had the pace.
He did. Demonstrated that.
Got unlucky.
Yes, and had some race fight too.
Yeah.
So it looks Sunday's going to be spicy.
Sunday's going to be spicy. He's on pole. Can he keep the lead at the start? Can he keep Marquez behind him? So let's go out. Quartararo gets away well.
Yeah, very well.
Thank goodness. Marc Marquez does not get away well. His bike is hopping down the start-finish straight. The little ride height hold shot device thing that they have for launch control failed. You could see he was not happy with it. Quartararo took ages to get to the grid, which they're entitled to do because they don't have to follow each other around in order. You could see he was unhappy with it. He was sort of moving around on the bike a little bit, wiggling his hips. And it just kept bouncing. So Pecco gets him off the line. And so we've got Quartararo pulling away because Bagnaia takes a little bit of time to get into it, but has typically been better on a Sunday than a Saturday. I've heard rumors it's to do with the fuel tank. So they have to run a small fuel tank in the sprint and a big fuel tank in the race because you can't half fill a fuel tank.
Understood, yeah.
Because then people will just fill it all the way up and run higher fuel mix.
Yeah.
So he's been doing better with the heavier bike. Fair enough. Alex got off the grid well, but had a poor first lap. And into turn 6 again. Scarily, just as the two Lenovo Ducatis are fighting, he outshoots the corner and just dives straight up in between them as Mark's turning right and Bagnaya's starting to turn right. And you just think this is going to end in a 3-bike pileup. Thankfully avoided all of that because obviously we got his first victory. And we finally got to see a little bit of Mark versus Pecco, which I think a lot of us have been dying to see.
Waiting for this is headline stuff.
Yeah. So what happened, Tim?
Mark crashes.
Mark crashes.
Lap 3.
Lap 3 into a left-hander. He's typically, I don't know why the commentators keep going, Mark's been better at left-handers than everybody else on the grid. I don't know why left-hander makes a difference. I don't get why that's different to going right. Maybe I'm a little bit too novice-y in this sport, but I ride bikes.
Yeah.
Going left is just as easy as going right. I don't get it.
It might be just commentators waffle.
It might be, but I've also seen that the Michelin tires can have different compounds across the width of the tire, so maybe it's softer on the inside, okay. And maybe that's why. I don't know for sure, but they kept on going on about it. I get it. He's good at left-handers, but he also went down in a left-hander. Yeah,
so it was quite surprising, and his bike is just ripped to shreds.
Yeah, it looked like sort of somebody had taken a cheese grater to the side of that bike, just everything flapping around. At least he still had his foot peg this time.
Yes, yeah. Indeed, as opposed to just flailing out.
Same side, I think, no? No, he went down on the right in Texas.
Yes.
He went down on the right-hand corner. Yeah.
But this is not motivation, but this gives Alex a bit of fight.
Yeah, well, out of those top 4, Mark included in the top 4, Alex is the only one who sees it, right? Because Quartararo's in the lead, Pecco's ahead of him, and then it's Mark and Alex. And so Alex is the only one who sees this. They have to wait at least until they get round and maybe see a replay on one of the screens, but they're not really watching the screens. They have to wait until something appears on their pit board to know that Mark has crashed. He wasn't out; he kept going, but it's obviously a big
incident. Yeah,
this Goliath of the sport is out.
Yes,
of contention.
Yeah, so Alex steps up, starts chasing the other two, shoves his way in, takes Pecco relatively comfortably.
I would say it looked comfortable. Pecco didn't really put up a fight, which has been kind of a story of this year.
Which I thought was a bit surprising.
Yeah.
Considering where he's sat. And then chases Fabio, dive bombs him perfectly.
Perfect move.
Textbook. If you were to describe it to someone with twinkly music in the background, that's what you explain.
I love the slow-mo that they showed on the highlights and on the live feed, even just kept showing this slow-mo thing because that's exactly how you describe it. If you put twinkly music over the back of that, it's perfect.
It is. Perfect way to go to sleep, perfect way to think about anything, perfect way to escape your day.
I'm going to get a slow-mo on my phone lock screen.
Great idea. Great idea. And having done that, I got the sense that he was feeling good. I think he knew that he just pulled off the move of the year.
Yep.
And just drives into the sunset.
It was almost the perfect. There was none of this like little wobble here and there. He managed the tires the whole way to the end. He kept it clean. He was never sort of looking over his shoulder to see if Pecco or even Fabio was there waiting, or I don't know, the ghost of Marc Marquez's left-hand side of his Ducati was chasing him. I don't know. There was never a concern, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure his heart rate was at like 210 beats per minute, but
yeah.
He never showed it.
You could never see that.
Yeah.
You couldn't. Yeah, and goes on to take his first win. I mean, and what a way to take it. Pecco sits happy in third.
I think he's just settling at the moment, and I think that's a shame.
Yeah.
He never really had the fight in him. He came out after the race and said, it's hard to follow. I'm always giving my maximum. Every time I get stuck behind somebody, I cannot close the gap. Mark kind of said the same thing, that perhaps, being behind two bikes is what caused his bike to suddenly drop. There is this sort of floating myth that the aero is causing all these issues. Maybe it's what happened to Fabio in the sprint race.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say.
It's hard to tell. There's no concrete evidence that following another bike is tricky. Pecco's not looked happy on that bike all year. So is he to be believed, or is this just a convenient excuse? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But really, he should be taking this to full advantage, because his last year's title rival is injured off the grid. His teammate is down in the gravel or on the runoff 2 weeks now out of 5. Why is he not winning the race?
Yeah, indeed. But hopefully he regains what we know him to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mark recovered to 12, 4 points.
Yes, which is big.
He's still not leading the championship. Alex did eke that one out, but 12th place, didn't give up, came back. Good champion's mindset of just, I will finish this race and see if I can get points.
Yeah, which is what you need to do.
Perfect.
So as you've just touched on, Alex leads the championship. He's sat on 140 points, 1 point ahead of Mark. So
spicy.
It is very spicy.
Game on.
Bagnaia closed his gap, so he's just behind 20 points.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously he doesn't close the gap to Alex, but he closes the gap to Mark. Assuming that Mark is going to bounce back next race and just annihilate everybody, Bagnaia has closed the gap to the effective championship leader.
Indeed. So he's sat on 120 points, and Quartararo, have I said that right?
It wasn't bad.
How do you say it?
Quartararo.
Quartararo.
There almost seems to be too many A's in it.
Quartararo.
Yeah. I'm leaving all this in.
No, don't do that.
I am. It's funny.
But I sound like an idiot.
Brilliant.
Some of these names are mental.
I loved your attempt at Vinales the other week. Yeah, so Quartararo jumps up to 6th place, 63 points. Big points haul for him this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And team championships.
I mean, it's not even close.
Killing it.
It's not even close.
No.
They've had double podiums every race week so far, just about, apart from the 2 that Mark has DNF'd, or as good as DNF'd. Gresini do pull ahead of VR46 though. That was big. And they pulled ahead because 3 of the 6 Ducatis had issues.
Yes.
So Mark, Morbidelli, and Aldeguer had issues. And obviously KTM and Yamaha capitalized on it, because why wouldn't you? And Honda also as well. I mean, Honda had 2 or 3 points finishes, so pretty big. In the teams championship, that doesn't affect much, but in the constructors, when you take the first 2 bikes at each race to get those points.
Yeah.
When you've got 6 Ducatis finishing one down to 6th, then suddenly your highest KTM is 7th and 8th.
Yes.
And that's a huge points difference. So for them, for KTM at least, and Yamaha, this was good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was a record-setting weekend in the MotoGP. But it was also a record-setting weekend in F1 for everyone's most infamous driver, Mr. Lance Stroll.
What a beautiful transition, Tim. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He is... Would you say this is the most unwanted title?
I think this is one of the most unwanted titles. I also think longest racing career without a podium.
No, we love Nico. Don't go there.
Yeah, but come on. He doesn't want that title.
No, of course. My fingers remain crossed as always.
Or even longest career without points or something.
Yeah.
Whatever Anthony Davidson has, you don't want it, right?
Yeah.
It's not good. Longest career with, most without points.
Q1 eliminations.
And most Q1 eliminations, they're the ones you don't want, right?
Yeah, which has now been transferred
to
our man in Racing Green.
Yes. But it was Kevin Magnussen. I didn't even know it was Kevin Magnussen. Interestingly, the media never made a big deal about this when it was Kevin Magnussen.
No. Is this nepotism working in reverse?
Well, I don't know, because here we are talking about Lance Stroll. We never talked about Kevin Magnussen. We never started a podcast years ago to talk about Kevin Magnussen having Q1 eliminations. But maybe we did just start this podcast to talk about Lance Stroll having Q1 eliminations.
And what a time to start it. Because he now has. So he has 75 Q1 eliminations in 173 qualifying sessions.
Yes. So his percentage is higher than Kevin's because Kevin has more qualifying sessions.
Yes.
Having started earlier, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he took a couple of years out, but I think Kevin started in 2013, 2014. He replaced Perez at McLaren.
Yes.
So, 2014. And took 2 years out. But he has more races. So,
yeah. So, for Lance, that number works out to be 43%.
Which is nearly half.
Have ended in Q1.
That's nearly half.
The question, the same question, it just gives it a bit of fuel.
Yeah. But this is somebody who was so good in F3 that they didn't need to do F2 to get to F1.
Yeah, he had a very good junior career.
I've heard a lot of things, but we'll save that for another time.
Yes.
What is interesting is that his Q2 appearances he's eliminated 34% of the time. So almost 1/5 of the time he makes it all the way through qualifying.
Yeah. Yeah, 23%. He goes to Q3.
And let's be fair to Lance. Right? Let's not slam him entirely.
Let's look at this objectively.
Lance has spent a lot of time in mid teams.
Yep.
Right? He started at Williams through difficult circumstances and controversial circumstances. He then moved to Racing Point, arguably his best opportunity.
Yes.
Then Racing Point became Aston Martin. They've had 1, maybe 2 good seasons where he's had the best opportunity to make it into Q3.
They've definitely had 1, but they've definitely had more than 1 where they ought to be getting out of Q1.
Yeah. So 20% of his eliminations came his time at Williams.
Yeah.
Which, fair enough. That Williams was not in a good way. They were financially ruined.
The team management were in
not
difficulty.
Great. They were buying parts off Mercedes, but they weren't working well for them and all this kind of thing. So, yes, fair enough to Lance. He got 12 eliminations in 2017 and 14 in 2019 when he made the switch to Racing Point. 2020 was his best chance. That was when Racing Point had basically reskinned the 2019 Mercedes car, and it was a year of frozen development because of COVID. They weren't punished, which was his. He had 0 Q1 eliminations that year. So when the car's there,
he can perform.
It seems.
Well, he can perform to the minimum required standard.
Yeah, it seems. So then things that take a bit more of a downturn. A couple of years later, 12 eliminations in Q1 with Aston Martin. And he's already had 3 this year. Out of 5.
Yeah.
Which would suggest this year is already building to be one of his worst years.
Yeah. So he's sat at 60%. Of the 24 races, you're looking at, 15 plus.
Yeah. So let's also be fair to Lance. Who has he been up against? So 2017, he had Felipe Massa. Felipe had to take 1 race out, and he was up against Paul di Resta. So Lance had 11 Q1 eliminations against Massa. Massa only had 3, and he had 1 against Paul di Resta. Paul di Resta also had 1. So that tells me that
he's not keeping up with Massa, but he's keeping up with
Paul, who was standing in. So is the car necessarily supposed to be eliminated then? Probably not. That was also the year that they had their random podium at Baku when Sebastian rear-ended Lewis and the headrest came undone and everybody DNF'd, and it was a bit crazy.
Yeah.
So let's be fair, the car was average.
Yeah.
12 Q1 eliminations is not great. 2018, he's up against Sergei Sirotkin. Not a particularly great driver. He gets 15 Q1 eliminations. Sergey gets 16. So Lance is better, but that tells me the car is bad.
Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah. If both teammates are performing badly, car bad. If one teammate is performing well and the other one's
probably
not,
driver
bad.
Yeah.
Rule of thumb.
Yeah. Glad you brought that up because 2019 to 2020, he's up against Sergio Perez in the Racing Point. Lance has 14 Q1 eliminations, Sergio only 8. Sergio made it to Q3 15 times in 2 years. Lance only made it 10 times. They both have about the same Q2. So that tells me there's quite a difference in performance between the teammates.
Yeah.
Sometimes the car is average at best, and maybe they both have a good session, or somebody has a terrible session and they both make it through.
And there's going to be tracks that the car works better at.
Yeah.
The variance that you get from that.
Yeah.
Next time out, Hulkenberg.
Yeah, well, so I'm going to mention Hulkenberg half and half because Hulkenberg obviously replaced Perez for one race and he also replaced Vettel for one race. So partnered up against Vettel at Aston Martin, 18 Q1 eliminations for Lance, 13 for Vettel. Lance also had 1 against Hulkenberg's 2 during that time. So I think Hulkenberg's Q1 eliminations both came when he replaced Vettel at Silverstone and somewhere else. Can't remember, Austria maybe. But he'd been out racing for a while, bit rusty, totally understandable. Lance probably shouldn't have been eliminated at the same time, but never mind. Not great against Vettel. That tells me that the car was okay. Vettel made 18 Q2 appearances, so average car.
So average, yeah, midfield car.
Across 2 years. Up against Alonso, and here's where it gets really shocking, because this is when Aston Martin arguably have had their best chance. 15 Q1 eliminations to date since 2023 to Alonso's 4, 2 of which were mechanical issues.
Okay.
So didn't even make it out, but therefore eliminated.
So eliminated but not entered.
Correct. Alonso has made 36 Q3 appearances to Lance's 15. So that tells me car okay.
Car good.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is slipping.
I'm fairly certain Alonso made it to every single Q3 in 2023. Somebody's going to type in a comment section somewhere that Josh is wrong. And actually,
and we very much welcome
the 2023 Singapore Grand Prix, maybe Alonso made it into Q2. I cannot remember, but I welcome criticism, unless it says I'm wrong. Head-to-head wise, so Felipe Massa beat him 17-2. He beat Paul di Resta 1-0.
In the one race.
Sergei Sorokin beat him 13-8. Sergio Perez 28-7. Nico Hulkenberg, it was a 50-50 split, 2-all. Sebastian Vettel 27-15 and Fernando Alonso 43-8. And overall, Lance has been beaten 130-43 times in qualifying against his teammates. I want to say thanks to the race for providing these statistics because it saved me a lot of time.
Yeah. But when you see it like this...
It's quite shocking, right?
Yeah. He's against the teammates that you could argue he had the longest time with. So Perez, Vettel, Alonso, and Massa.
Yeah.
Against Massa, he was down 89%, Perez 80%, Vettel 64%, but you could argue underperforming car, and then Alonso 84%.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's fair to say that Lance has had 3 World Championship teammates.
Yes.
Right? He's had Massa, who is obviously, should have been a World Championship teammate, that was a contender. At least twice.
To the last race of the year.
At least twice for the World Championship. Vettel, 4-time World Champion, tough competition, but twilight of his career. Alonso, double World Champion, twilight of his career.
His career is never going to end, though. So,
well, true. He's rookie of the year.
Can you be in the twilight if you're not ending?
But Sergei Sorokin was a rookie.
Yeah.
And a pay driver.
Yeah.
Paul di Resta had been out of F1 for years. He only beat him 1-0.
He doesn't seem, in reading those percentages, again, considering the teammates, but he's not closed or changed that massively.
No. And I don't want to slam Lance Stroll. He gets to drive a Formula One car every week. Fair play. Wish I could. But I have gone back and looked at footage from his F3 career.
Yeah.
Because on paper, it's quite impressive. Something like 14 out of the 30-odd races that they did that year, he won. What is disappointing is that the random inconsistencies and the veering across track into the path of somebody else hasn't changed.
No.
And we only have to go back a couple of years where he tried to drive Nicholas Latifi into a wall because he wasn't looking on a cool-down lap, or he crashed into the side of Vettel on a end of race lap, or pushed Vettel into the wall at the Russian Grand Prix. We don't have to go back very far to when those events are, and yet we go back 10 years and he's doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the other thing that was really disappointing was how he spoke about his new title.
Yep.
Which was to just fire at the McLaren drivers.
Deflect it to somebody. It's somebody else.
So he said, put Norris and Piastri in a Sauber for 10 years and they'd be in the same position.
Yeah.
Which, of course, he's not been in a Sauber.
Well, he hasn't been in a Sauber. And I did do a comparison. And I really tried to make it representative. And it's a bit of a stretch. But let's go into it, right? So Oscar Piastri is only in his third season of F1. And when he joined, that McLaren was kind of at the back.
Yeah.
It's not anymore.
No. It's very much not at the back.
One could argue that Lando and Oscar's influence at McLaren has helped to bring them forwards.
Yeah.
Lance's influence at a team since 2019 has done nothing but keep them average.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lando begins in 2019. Lance begins in 2017. So I just looked at where all three of them finished since 2017 to see if there was any conclusion I could draw.
Yeah.
So, in order, 2017, Williams were 5th, Sauber 10th, McLaren 9th. 2018, Williams 10th after one full season with Lance Stroll and Felipe Massa, they were 10th. Sauber 8th, McLaren 6th. 2019, Racing Point 7th, Sauber 8th, McLaren 4th. 2020, Racing Point 4th, Sauber 8th, McLaren 3rd. 2021, Aston 7th, Sauber 9th, McLaren 4th. 2022, Aston 7th, Sauber 6th, McLaren 5th. About the same.
Yeah.
2023, Aston 5th, Sauber 9th, McLaren 4th, and there was about 20 points between McLaren and Aston. So they were in roughly the same space at all times that year.
Yeah.
2024, Aston 5th, Sauber 10th, McLaren obviously won the Constructors, so they were first.
Yes.
I don't quite know what his point is here, because Sauber have not been last every season. So did he just mean that they were
slow now?
If you put Lando and Oscar in the slowest car every year, then they will have the same results. If that's what he meant, he hasn't been in the slowest car of that year since 2018, and arguably that was his worst year for Q1 eliminations, but it was matched by his teammate, so fair play. Yeah. But since then, he's also had some terrible years for Q1 eliminations and has
and been in a decent car.
1, 2, 3, 4 out of his 10 seasons been in the top 50% of the teams.
Yeah, I mean, come on, 4th place in 2020 is a good result.
So what was his point? What was the point he was trying to make? And I wish he'd just own up to it, you know? I wish he'd just be like, look, yeah, fine. I've made some mistakes. I need to do better. Rather than just be like, oh, well, put Lando and Oscar in a rubbish car. It felt immature. It reminded me of the time he rear-ended Danny Rick under safety car and then went, well, Ricciardo braked. No, Ricciardo braked because everybody else was braking. You weren't looking.
Yeah, it's a shame. And again, going back to the fact that this is his 10th year.
Yeah.
He's not a rookie. He's far from a rookie. And still seems to have that rookie, not mindset, but attitude at times, which hardly is going to help him.
No.
You could argue that's one of the reasons Piastri is looking so good, is because he was so quick to move out of that rookie mindset and into one of being competitive and being able to compete for a world championship, which in of itself is a different thing to being
it's a different level. Yeah, of course.
So it's a shame to see, and it's a shame that he's not helping himself, and the calls for his replacement are only going to grow louder.
Yeah.
To a point that potentially they cannot be ignored. Yeah.
I mean, this team cannot ignore it forever, surely. I know.
Especially if they want to be taken seriously. They've brought on Newey, Alonso, and
a rumor to have offered Max a $300 million contract.
Yeah, they're a serious team with some serious cash that want to be competitive, that are looking to be fighting for podiums consistently, fighting for wins consistently, potentially even winning championships. Are you going to be able to do that when you have
a driver that's out in Q1
the least successful qualifier
ever? Well, 43% of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, agreed.
So
let's stop.
Food for thought.
Let's stop it there. I don't want to, drag Lance through the mud, but needs to take ownership. I think needs to grow up.
Yeah. Speaking of growing up, as we have just done, Oscar Piastri is proving that he is the real deal. So he has just become the first multiple race winner of the 2025 season in Bahrain. Next time out in Saudi, does the same thing.
The three-peat.
The three-peat, and again, does it comfortably.
Yeah.
Does it with, not in style, but in...
Yeah, it wasn't as
it wasn't a stylish race, but it was, he did everything very well. He did
everything he had to do correctly.
It's the Novak Djokovic of tennis.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to say, of F1, everyone's going to say Federer is the most gorgeous to look at. But when you look at numbers, Djokovic is more clinical, more consistent. And that is what Oscar is doing, is just being surgically precise.
Yeah.
And completely
cool-headed.
If
I look at his season so far, I mean, Australia put it in the grass, didn't give up. Champion mindset, one might argue.
Yeah.
Brought it back for points. That's really his only mistake.
Yes, which was, of course, on a degrading track because of the rain. And I think the thing that really solidifies it is the fact that whenever Lando has slipped,
Oscar's won.
He has been there and never looked in doubt of that position.
Yeah.
And especially coming into this year with the pressure of Lando was the one making the championship charge. Lando's going to be the first driver.
Yep.
He's more experienced.
Yep.
To just eat that, as Lando has failed to do.
And kind of not really make fun of it, but have a joke about it.
Yeah.
In the press conference afterwards, Lando struggled in Saudi. You're right. One might argue buckled under the pressure in qualifying, put it in a wall, pushing too hard, taking too many risks. For somebody leading the Drivers' Championship, taking too many risks. Max, yes, he took pole, but at the time he wasn't looking on form in Q2.
No.
So,
and it was a tight pole.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was 2/10 up the road.
And for Lando to have a poor race, well, an average race, where he managed to secure some more points, but poor by championship leader standards and poor by McLaren standards this year so far. And to come out and say, oh yeah, well the car's not the fastest car. And then Oscar just goes, yeah, it is. So not really make fun of it, but kind of have a joke about it. And
owning the fact that
they have the quickest car, but he's also putting in
asset.
a great performance rather than there having to be this, well, no, I'm just putting in a good performance attitude.
Which Lando seems to be exhibiting.
Sticking to. Fine. Cool-headed, calm, not flustered by Max. into turn one.
No, which is huge.
Yeah.
That incident just showed that I'm not scared of you.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Which is shaking years of advantage from Verstappen.
From Max, because Max has used that attitude on a lot of people, and one might argue it worked, right? I mean, he showed Lewis what he was capable of.
Yeah.
And you might argue in the first half of 2021, which is probably when Lewis actually lost the advantage, it worked.
It did.
And it was only towards the end where Lewis didn't back down anymore. And Lewis is obviously a 7-time champion, and it took half a season for him to get over that of, well, no, if he's going to put his car in that position where it's either we don't finish or he wins, I need to be of the mindset that we are just not going to finish.
Yeah.
And that needs to be the case. And it took him half a season to get there, but it's taken Lando years.
Yeah.
And it took Charles years of racing each other, not in F1, but before then when they were racing each other, to get over that. And one might argue that Charles and now Oscar are two of the only people who can really race Max and
properly, and
not back out of it, right? Not have this mindset of, no, I need to finish this race. It's like, no, we are in a fight. If we don't finish, I'm going to come out on top of this, right?
Yeah.
Because I've got the points advantage, or because I'm going to win next week, or whatever. Or this is going to fluster you more if I bother you than it is if I let you through.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big deal. I think that's an advantage to Piastri that I've not really heard a lot of people mention or talk about.
No, and let's not forget, it wasn't that long ago that he was supposed to be signed for Alpine.
I mean, yeah, let's recap that drama, because that's something that ought to. And again, through that, he always
not
kept
flustered.
cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I can't remember exactly the date, but it was mid-2022. Sebastian Vettel announces his retirement from the sport in that very emotional video, his first appearance on social media, really, as an F1 driver. And Alonso, like the wily fox he is, jumped into that seat and almost announced it immediately at the start of the summer break. I remember it very fondly because it just sent everybody into chaos, and none of the F1 on-the-ground journalists were there to make any reports. It was just, I think Sky only had Christian Slater in the studio, in that CGI studio, going, Alonso to Aston Martin, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Alpine come out and say, we've signed Oscar Piastri to replace him.
Who is sat there as their reserve driver.
Correct. Simulator driver, reserve driver, been on the bench for a year. Oscar says, absolutely not. I haven't made any formal agreement, and neither has my management, and they've announced it without my knowledge.
Yeah. There is no name on the dotted line.
Yeah. And I think it was a nice little dig at Alpine, but I think it was intentional that once they'd done that, there was no way he was going to race for them. Because if they can't even respect him enough to have the conversation, he's not going to drive for them. So he'd already signed for McLaren and to replace Daniel Ricciardo, but couldn't announce it because Ricciardo didn't know yet.
Yeah.
And so him saying, no, it's not my intention to do that. Alpine then take McLaren to court and say, well, hang on a minute. You can't have him. He's ours. He's under contract. The contract can't be broken. We get first dibs, blah, blah, blah. McLaren win the lawsuit against Alpine, and Oscar is allowed to drive for McLaren. They use that money they won from the lawsuit to pay off Daniel, who they then got back because the year after he was driving for Toro Rosso or VCarb or whatever they were named at that year, AlphaTauri. So they got a lot of that money back because he was supposed to not race on that contract. And Oscar moved to McLaren in 2023. And, they weren't great, but by the end of the season, he won his first sprint race.
Yeah, which was the only non-Red Bull car to win the sprint
race. Yeah. One of two cars to win any form of race that year that wasn't a Red Bull.
Yes.
The other being
Carlos Sainz.
Yeah. So very impressive. Last year was his first 2 victories.
Yeah.
Hungary, to me, if we'd had this podcast back then, there would have been another 20-minute rant about why Hungary wasn't really a race. But it always felt a bit flat.
And I was there.
To me. You were there.
I was there.
But it felt a bit flat to me. Lando was told to get out of the way. You need Oscar to win the title. We've put you in this position. Oscar should have won the race. It wasn't the, it wasn't the Alex Marquez holding off everybody until the very last lap.
No. But this was ultimately McLaren not being prepared for their own success.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt that way.
And they were just they were so scared of getting it wrong that they got it wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
And ultimately, this all happened because they got the pit order wrong.
Correct.
Twice.
Yeah. And the undercut worked in Lando's favor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then McLaren said, we should have pit you first. Sorry. Let's just switch. So this was just McLaren not being really quite ready. Yeah. Of course, that was quite a stimulant to their season in terms of accelerating that, and therefore, I think allowing them to inevitably eventually take the constructors.
Yeah, of course.
But it was, and I think it was a big moment for Oscar because he knew he was ready. The team were not ready.
Yeah.
And I think after that point, wrote off the season as let's just
I'll
reset
help Lando
next year
with whatever he needs, but let's reset. I mean, he won in Baku, and it was great. That was his.
That was his
first proper win. He beat off Leclerc and whatever else to win. You asshole.
He did beat him off.
I'm gonna cut everything up until he beat off. I'm gonna leave the beat off, and then I'm gonna cut here.
Oh no.
2025, though, as we've said, has been his year. I mentioned Australia already. To me, that was a very mature thing to do because he could have quite easily just got out of the car, brought out the safety car, and retired.
Yeah,
didn't. Got some points. Great. Made him pole in China, and just dominated that race weekend.
Oh,
entirely.
Sunset. He's off.
Japan. We've already discussed that they ruined his race by not making a decision. That was our very first podcast, I think.
Yeah. Covered it.
And resigned to third behind Lando. Bahrain, perfect weekend. Pole, led every lap, just about. I mean, obviously, there was some strategy at play. The Ferraris led for a bit, but but essentially was effective race leader the whole way through.
Which was the first time Lando had slipped in quali. He was set in sixth. So the first opportunity to really recover the points he lost in Australia.
He took it.
And he took it.
Yeah. Didn't crack under pressure with more experienced cars behind him in the safety car situation.
Handled that restart brilliantly.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's his first safety car restart or... Well, I guess Baku last year would have been his first. But nonetheless, didn't crack under pressure. And then Saudi, Max put a Max move into turn one and Oscar said no.
Max put the Max move.
Yeah.
And he shut him down. He forced him off. We can talk about penalties again if we want to, with the 5 second not really being a massive penalty, but he got his elbows out.
He said,
I'm not going to take this.
He kept it on track. He didn't let it fluster him. He didn't do any risky moves after that. He just knew there was a penalty coming, got on with his race, did the best race he could, and won. And fair play. And, he's in a good place, I think. I don't know who Norris's manager is, but Oscar's got Mark Webber. Mark Webber isn't going to take stuff lying down. He never did at Red Bull.
No.
He's not going to do it now. Stella is being very neutral about things.
Stella is a very neutral individual.
And I don't know what will happen if McLaren have to make that decision again.
I think I think it will be very interesting because we all know who Zach prefers. We all know who Zach will always prefer.
Yeah. Does Zach know who Zach prefers?
I don't know if Zach has the idea or has the conscious bias of his position, but yes, we assume so. I think Stella will look at it very objectively and say he has more points.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
But
as you say, Mark is coming and swinging and has nothing but praise for Oscar at the moment. He said he really stepped up his game against the serious artillery of his rivals.
Which has got to be Max, right? He's got to be talking about Max there.
And Lando in a way, I think.
Yeah, but Lando's not throwing it up the inside.
He's not using any artillery. But no. Yes, and what an epic quote.
Yeah, right?
Mark Webber being Mark Webber. It's great to have him in.
If I were Oscar and I won the World Championship this year, I'd want that engraving on a medal or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Signed Mark Webber, 2025.
Yeah, stepping up in the face of serious artillery.
So we've kind of already covered this, but Oscar versus Max. Cool head versus almost desperate aggression these days, but a very aggressive driver. Do we think that's the right counter? Do we think Oscar couldn't do this if the car's there throughout the rest of the season? Let's say the Red Bull and McLaren are the same for the rest of the season. Who comes out on top, the cool head or the aggressive style?
I think it depends. We saw, as you say, we saw this in 21. And that was always what Lewis was saying at the time. I don't want to race like him.
Yeah.
He's a bully. He's not a courteous or fair driver.
Yeah.
But as you also said, Lewis did get over that. And once he did get over that, he was more successful.
Yeah.
And he did manage to rebuild that points haul through the famous Brazil weekend, and etc. So I think Oscar will have to look at that, and probably has looked at that, to say the cool head by itself is not enough.
No, not without sheer raw car performance advantage.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think what Saudi demonstrated was that, yes, I have a cool head, but I also have sharp elbows.
Yeah, right.
When I need them to be sharp.
Need them to be sharp. I think Lewis probably lost his head a bit towards the end of that season and went too far the other way.
Yes.
And started taking a lot more risks than he needed to. Saudi springs to mind.
Yeah. And the gravel spin as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Oscar needs to keep his elbows out, but his head free.
And I think the fact he had his success in doing that and in taking that approach means that there's no reason for him not to.
Yeah.
There's
I think
no
it would bother Max
hesitation.
more that Oscar defended like Max defends.
Yes.
Than it will that he got the penalty. I think that will bother him more.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah. This is the initially you can picture him just seething in that cockpit under his helmet of rubbish penalty there.
Yeah.
But he's going to get out the car. He's going to be in the cool air room. He's going to do his race debrief, and then he's going to sit in his hotel room and go,
that was my move.
That's my thing.
Yeah.
And he's gonna throw that at me.
Yeah.
And I need to work out how to beat me.
How to beat myself. Yeah. How does Max Verstappen beat himself off?
Oh.
Okay, we're going to end it there.
Yeah.
I'll do that again.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to end it there. We have discussed all three sports.
A dense one.
Enjoyed listening to our waffle about 3 different sports. And we will see you again in about 2 weeks.
Yes.
But we have been hard at work social mediaing.
Yes.
Haven't we, Tim?
We have. We are trying to not to look completely amateur.
Trying.
So we have now a cool link tree.
Yep.
So you can find you can find us on whatever platform you like the most with much more convenience.
Much.
And
unless it's Apple Podcasts, which we are
we're
still having trouble
Apple.
with. But we will get there, Apple users. In the meantime, though, Spotify works just fine.
It does.
And apparently you don't need an account to listen to us on Spotify.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
So there's no excuse.
There's absolutely no excuse. But if you're listening to this, you've already listened to us. So thanks.
Yes. Yeah. Our recruitment is
tip
slow.
Top. Yeah. Yeah. So we've had a refresh of the old Instagram profile. We've had a refresh of social links. We're now on X.
Yeah. Threads. Everything.
This might go out on YouTube. I'm trying to think what else platform-wise we could have. I don't know. We have a contact now as well. So, yeah.
If you want to send us anything, send us an email.
Yeah, or get in touch with us on Instagram.
Hate mail is accepted for now.
Well,
we have very minimal.
Only if it's directed at Tim. Right. So, yes, we'll see you again in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, and check Instagram.
Yes.
Keep up with it.
Keep up with us. And, send us a message if you like what you hear. It's always nice to hear good things, just as much as it is bad things.
Yes, it has been very helpful. So
but
any constructive
if it's terrible criticism, please
keep it to yourself.
Send it to Tim.
Yeah, please don't send it to
He has the emotional stability to deal with that. I do not. So, yes, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.
Peace.